Well, what's going on, guys? This is Carl with the Racerred channel. Today I wanted to discuss the big beautiful bill and the public land sell-off, which got removed from the bill. But I wanted to discuss the idea of that, because it would have been sold to private individuals, and according to the United States Constitution, the federal government is not supposed to own land other than 10 square miles per state to run out of, to run the government from. But that's it. I've always been torn on this topic though. So I don't like the idea of the federal government breaking the Constitution, abusing its power, owning all the land, then selling it to foreign entities or to entities within the United States that just shut everybody out. And the government shuts everybody out slowly but surely anyway, even if they just keep it. We've seen this with motorcycle trails. Everything that's not wilderness right this second should not be closed off at all. It should be free use. I mean, there are millions of acres of wilderness right now. All the most beautiful areas in each state are wilderness. You can't touch them with a motorcycle or anything else. Can't explore that area. It has to be pristine by their definition and completely untouched until we get hit by a meteor. I guess that's the plan. And that is essentially the plan if you don't want to use the land, right? If you don't want to explore it and see all the cool formations and have a little trail going through it, then your plan is basically to just let it destroy itself. I mean, it will destroy itself eventually. The so-called pristine mountains in general are the product of catastrophic events that just annihilated the surface of the earth. According to science, if this place lasts forever, which it won't, that's a cool little bridge here, everything will erode down to flat eventually. That's assuming the plates don't shift anymore. So I'm against private ownership where people can just lock it down, like the Wilks Brothers. The Wilks Brothers are well known in Idaho and well hated by just about everybody, because every road that they own, every dirt road or trail that used to be open, there's now a gate across it, and it's owned by the Wilks Brothers from Texas, and they shut everything down and do hunts here, I guess. So I am completely against that. I don't think they should be allowed to do that. But I also don't believe the government should be allowed to own it at all. So what do I believe? Well, the thing I believe is a reality that is so far out that it's really not. It's so unlikely. It's just not part of our reality. And that is that sections of private ownership are allowed where they're not allowed. Nobody owns it and nobody manages it. That means there is no BLM, Bureau of Land Management. There is no Forest Service. I would do away with those organizations. And then everybody gets to use that stuff freely. There would be little tiny trails. There would be more little trails, but they would remain really primitive. Contrast that with something like what you see out there in the Dan skins. That's essentially what happens when the government is allowed. I'm in second gear, I need to be in first. When the government is allowed to take care of it, you've got these old guys that are retired on four-wheelers, and they widen everything out to four-wheeler width. And then they do away with all interesting hill climbs. Make everything really boring and bland. So under the law of Emperor Karl, it would have to be mostly privately owned, but with the understanding that if you own cattle, you have to put an easily accessible gate open of a certain width, and the expectation is that anybody can come through your land. Period. You can't just shut off parts of the earth because you bought that land. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. If you don't own cattle, the expectation will be that you don't get to have a fence. So you have to have an opening instead of a fence. And the opening will go straight through your land. People have access through your land. To have gigantic ranches where they close the gates, we all live on Earth. It's like you can't just shut off Earth to everybody. Sloppy. Should be interesting. Not bad. So that's what I would do. If I was Emperor Karl, I would make it to where most of the land of the United States could be privately owned with mandatory through access so that people could ride or drive straight through your property. If you zoom out of this earth and view the earth as just where we're living, it's ridiculous to think that a government has claimed ownership from its people so that the people can't do what they want with their exploration of this place. And it's also weird to think that there's private ownership to where you can't explore either. Both are ridiculous. So, essentially, I would say private ownership is fine as long as you allow through access. Like if somebody owned, 100 acres of what I'm riding on right now, this trail can't get shut down. You'd have to have a gate. That's how I would do it anyway. But that's not really possible, so I don't know. Keeping it federally owned really sucks. But making it private really sucks for everybody currently. Man, this bike works so good. After riding the Husqvarna when it's just running bad, this thing's chassis is just on point for one. This bike is just an absolute terror as far as a racing machine. It's got really good power. I wouldn't want to do hard enduro on it because it would flame out like a pig, and then it would overheat like a pig. But it sure does handle nice. Not only that, but the steering stabilizer is very helpful on this bike. I don't feel like the steering stabilizer is helpful on the Husky. I'm going to remove it. Especially on single track, just annoying. I don't like having that thing on there. Partially because it has raised my bars a little bit, affecting my handling on that Husky, which it did on this as well, but there's something different with this one. But it's due for an oil change. I think this is going to be the last ride before I change the oil. I think I'm on ride number 4. This is beautiful out here. Don't mind if I be quiet for a little bit. I'm just enjoying the ride. Sometimes I really can't. Well, I pretty much concluded my thoughts anyway, so really I'm just enjoying the terrain out here. Once you get deep into these trails, the environment just changes. There is certainly a difference between the beginning of a trail and once you're into it some miles. It's partly just more fun, but also there's just another element to it. Something a little bit more wild when you're out here, way out in the wilderness. Not the wilderness, out in the woods. Yeah, the old KTM is just really is a fantastic motorcycle. Even for most trails, this one's not too bad in terms of difficulty, but the bike, as long as you can keep momentum and not flame it out constantly, this thing is just so nice. And downhill, you pull in the clutch and ride it, you're essentially riding a bike that's no different than a two-stroke. It's just as light. This bike only weighs 226 pounds. The reason it feels heavier when you're riding is because the engine is so heavy on the compression. But it's so easy to keep this thing straight. The power is just so smooth. Just makes life easy. Last time I rode this, I was riding in Cambridge, and Cambridge is way more difficult. It's just a lot more difficult because everything moves so much. It's really testing your traction a lot more, testing your adaptability on the balance side of things. This stuff does too, but mostly what I'm dealing with here is a little bit of loose soil and then embedded granite. Occasionally there's a root that's going across. I've got to watch my angles on those. But there's also a lot of nice smooth trail here. As far as the climbs go though, this bike makes quick work of them. It just eats it up. It's got lots of power and smooth power too. But that said, I would not recommend this bike for single track riding. I like it, but I would not recommend it. It just makes things way more difficult than it needs to be. I should probably just make a choice here instead of running into the middle. I could not choose between the right line and the left line. Pretty steep downhill here. A lot of this stuff makes for an interesting climb. But as long as you take your time, it's nothing too major. Just get your butt on the back wheel and take it easy. Climb right up that stuff. My front brake works. Wow, look at that. Look at there's snow. And my front brake actually works because I did the vibrate massaging technique on the brake. I got all the bubbles out of it. Right now I'm heading up to Gold Creek Lookout. What's left of it. And this is it. I believe it burned down. The first time I visited this, I wasn't sure what it was. Of course, this is a foundation, but I saw this little opening here. Didn't know what this was for sure. Creepy is what it is. Could live in that. Good shelter, really, if you need. Beauty. Who can tell me what I'm looking at? Let me know in the comments below what you think that is down there in that valley. I'm pretty close to the top and I'm running low on water. This spring right here should be clean. It's running through, getting filtered through these rocks up here. And I'm pretty high in elevation. There's not a lot between me and the source. I love these tailgate extenders. They're awesome. I also love this step ramp. It too is awesome. There have been so many situations where this thing came in handy. Highly recommended. If you guys use code Carl when you order one, it would help me out big time. I get a kickback. But honestly, it's one of those things that I can't do without. I'd be rocking a step ramp whether they helped me out or not.
His name is Racerred. If he wasn't riding, he'd be in bed. He naps during the day. He rides his love in garage bays. Oh, he rides all night, full throttle all the time. Oh, he was born to ride. Red Racer, like, comment, and subscribe.